Hello, everyone. I just got back from seeing the new Peter Jackson World War One documentary, They Shall Not Grow Old. This was probably the first movie I had seen in a theater since Hacksaw Ridge. And basically, the reason why I wanted to go and see this is because I'm really into World War One and because it's made by Peter Jackson. Probably my favorite director ever since I saw the Lord of the Rings movies back when I was a teenager. So yeah, when I found out that he was doing a World War One documentary, I was like, yes, please. And I think I'd heard a few years ago that he was a big World War One buff himself, so that's pretty freaking cool. And then when the trailer for this documentary came out, I guess, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, I was like, okay, let me buy my ticket right now. I'm just happy that they were able to release this in the theater because I have a pretty nice theater near my house with reclining chairs and all that kind of stuff, and it was released in 3D, which was really, really cool sitting there watching it. Yeah, I'm very happy that I went and saw this movie in the theater, even though it was very expensive compared to how much movies cost when I was a kid, but it was definitely worth it, and it was a new, unique experience seeing a World War One documentary in a movie theater that's also in 3D. So yeah, but yeah, the documentary itself is very, very well done. Peter Jackson is an amazing director and editor, which is probably what this documentary required most of him to be, was an editor, because he was approached by the Imperial War Museum to make a documentary with their film footage from the actual Great War. So basically, mostly what he had to do was get his team together, the computer whizzes behind the Lord of the Rings, King Kong, and the Hobbit movies, and restore this film footage and to do something unique and special with it. And so it was actually quite the challenge. He had about 100 hours worth of film and a couple of hundred hours of audio from actual World War One veterans talking about their experiences. So he had to piece that all together, whittle it down, edit it all together, and then he actually got his computer guys to set about restoring the footage, which was, I can't imagine how much of a challenge that had to be. I mean, you're having to repair 100-year-old film that is fuzzy, it's sped too fast, it's jacked up just beyond all repair. I mean, it's just crazy how rough this footage is, but I guess considering its age, it's in pretty good shape. And to be fair, too, where it was actually filmed is pretty incredible, too. And the job they did restoring the footage and then digitizing it to make it all, look modern with the colorization and all that, it's fantastic. I really wish that they could do this to more wars. Like, imagine doing this treatment to World War II. Like, how incredible would that be? And Peter Jackson mainly wanted the documentary to focus on just the average British infantryman during the war, which I guess is good because, World War One is such a huge event. I mean, to cover all of it would have required a lot of films. Yeah, you can't just do that in one movie. I mean, he was talking about in the making of that they actually showed after the movie. It was like a half-hour long making of, which was fascinating, and I definitely stayed for that. He was talking about how they could have done footage on the aircraft, air combat, the naval battles, the home front, nurses, women in the workforce. I mean, they could have done several movies just about World War One. And I mean, they did such an amazing job with this. I would love to see that. Like, imagine if they made another movie about the average Frenchman during World War One, or the average German soldier during World War One, or the naval, or the aircraft would be amazing. Like that footage, I can't imagine how just incredible that would be with this restoration and colorization treatment. I mean, whoa. Yeah, I would love to see that. I mean, imagine World War II flight footage. Like, oh my God. given this treatment. Oh, it would really, really be amazing. And I hope other people start doing this. I mean, thankfully, Peter Jackson was here to make this documentary, and it was a very personal project for him because his grandfather fought in World War One and was severely injured during the war and only lived to be 50. So it was definitely a personal project for him. And it's just an amazing, amazing documentary. The sound effects are incredible. Like, they actually used real sound effects. Like, everything you see in the movie, you know, if somebody's like moving around, they were using an actual World War One British field kit pack and stuff to make the sound. They were using bolt actions. You know, if there was a soldier in the film using his bolt actions, just, you know, kind of loading it and stuff and moving it back and forth. They had a guy racking the bolt in and out. Just soldiers marching, you know, you had to get somebody to record the sound of marching in mud and the tanks and all that. And the artillery, what they did with that was really, really cool. They got a bunch of microphones together and went to the New Zealand military and artillery range and actually, you know, stuck a couple of microphones next to the barrel of the gun, and then they put some up on a hill, and then they put some in the ground near where the artillerymen were aiming. And so when the gun fired, you got the boom, and then when it went over the hill, you got that meow, and then when it impacted, you know, you got that sound effect. So the sound effects in the documentary are top notch, like really, really amazing. The music is well done and accurate and pretty funny here and there. And the soldiers that are talking throughout the movie, I mean, that stuff is priceless, absolutely priceless, because that audio of the British veterans talking about their experiences in the war, those were all recorded back in the 1960s and 70s. So those guys are long gone. That entire generation is gone forever. So to hear their voices and to hear their perspective and everything, it's priceless. So yeah, it's a very focused and very well done documentary. I think Peter Jackson made the right call to just focus on one aspect of the war because this war is too big for one movie. You know, yeah, I think it would have been a mistake just kind of hop along here. But yeah, it's an amazing documentary, and if you can go and see it, I highly recommend it to you. I'm just very grateful that it was shown in theaters here in America. I know the BBC over in England was showing it on TV for the armistice and all that. And, you know, this is a very special documentary, and I hope a lot of people see it. I mean, I would love for this to be shown in classrooms all around the world. I mean, it's a very, very good documentary on World War One, and just, I mean, the technical side of it is amazing. I mean, this is top-notch stuff from Peter Jackson and his people. And listening to the soldiers was very interesting, just kind of seeing the similarities between men now and then and life and then and stuff. It's just very interesting, but it's also kind of sad too, because I kind of feel like a lot's been lost between here and there, you know? Like, men were just men back then, you know? Like, there was a guy talking about when he first joined the British Army in 1914, how it wasn't too bad because he had been a Boy Scout. And I'm thinking nowadays, well, hell, I just heard the other day the Boy Scouts are filing bankruptcy and stuff. So it's kind of like, you know, what are men going to be like 20 years from now or 100 years from now, you know? But it was interesting, the men talking about how excited they were, and, you know, this was their job, being soldiers, you know, and I kind of feel a kind of a comradeship with them and a understanding, like, yeah, I mean, if I was 17 years old, 1914, sign me the hell up. Get me the hell out of this stinking job, you know? I want to go be a soldier, you know? So it's very interesting for me, because it kind of feels like I'm almost having a conversation with these guys, like I'm listening to my grandfather talk about his World War II experiences, and this would have been his father's generation fighting in World War One. So I'm not that far removed from World War One. I mean, none of us are. I mean, this would have been our grandparents or great-grandparents. I mean, it's really not that long ago. So it was just a great documentary, and if, like I said, if you can see it, definitely see it. I'm sure it's going to be released on Blu-ray probably in a couple of months, but definitely try to see it in the theater, but I'll definitely be picking up a copy of it when it's released on Blu-ray. So Yeah, take it easy, people, and I hope you see the movie when you can.